Hello friends! Welcome back to another edition of Dilly's Do-It-Yourself Tutorials. Well, I thought with the cold weather here, I might as well pull out some of my decorations and go ahead and spruce up the place a bit. But before I go any further, there's a couple more things that we need to talk about before we finish our chapter on adding and subtracting fractions. Well, what I want to talk about today is changing a mixed number into a decimal. We've changed regular fractions into decimals, and this isn't really that much harder because you can kind of ignore the whole number until the very end. So we're going to talk about that, and then I just want to review a couple things with you before you have your test. So let's go ahead and get started. Here's our first example. We have a mixed number, 3 2/10. We can use our method that we learned of looking at our denominator and seeing if it is a factor of 100. And as you can tell, this one is. So I'm simply going to create an equivalent fraction out of 100. And I'm going to write 2/10 equals blank 100ths. And I multiplied 10 times 10, so I'm going to multiply 2 times 10. And this is going to be 20. Now, you just recopy your numerator, put your decimal and the 20, and then your whole number gets transferred over into the ones place because it is 3 wholes. Now, we have talked in class about dropping the 0 and writing your final answer as 3.2. Or you would say that 3 2/10. Here's another example, 4 3/5. Again, we're going to ignore the whole number for a moment and focus on the 3/5. The first thing we're going to do is look at the denominator and see if we can use the easier method of creating an equivalent fraction out of 100, which we can. So I'm going to just do that right here. I'm going to ask myself, what did I multiply the 5 by? And it was 20. So I'm going to multiply 3 times 20, and I'm going to get 60. I'm going to go ahead and put my decimal, recopy my 60, and then I'm going to bring my whole number over and put it in the ones place because we had 4 wholes in our fraction. So it goes in the ones place. And then I'm going to write my final answer as 4.6 or 4 6/10. Okay, let's look at one more example. Now, this is one that you're supposed to memorize, so if you know the answer, then you can just write it. But if not, then you would look at the denominator and see that you can use the shortcut method, create your equivalent fraction. Say 4 times 25 is 100, so 3 times 25 is 75, and then rewrite it as 0.75. Bring your whole number over and put it in the ones place. Now, there's no zeros to drop off, so that would be your final answer. Let's take a look at our next fraction, 2 3/8. Here, if you look at your denominator, you can see that 8 is not a factor of 100. So we're going to have to use our division method for this. Again, we can ignore our whole number and just set up a division problem. This is what it would look like if it was written as an expression. You may see something like that on your test. This is read 3 divided by 8. So it would be set up that way as well. 3 divided by 8. And then we're going to add our decimal, our 2 zeros. We may be adding more. Our decimal gets moved straight up and then forget about it. Now, we're going to start and divide 8 into 30. Remember, your number goes directly above whatever you said you're dividing it into. So we're going to put it above the 0. And it goes in 3 times. 8 times 3 is 24. Subtract and you get 6. Go ahead and bring down your 0. 8 will go into 60 7 times. And 7 times 8 is 56. Subtract, you get a 4. You can add another 0, bring it down. Go ahead and divide 8 into 40, and it goes 5 times. 8 times 5 is 40. Subtract, and you get a 0. So, 3/8 equals 0.375. 0.375. And if you think about what we did on the last couple problems, you could probably guess that we're going to have to bring that whole number over and put it in the ones place. So now our final answer is going to be 2 and 375 thousandths. There you go. Here's one more example, 6 1/3. We're going to look at the denominator and see that 3 is not a factor of 100. So we're going to have to set this up as a division problem. And it would look like this as an expression, 1 divided by 3. So you would write it as 1 divided by 3. Add your decimal and at least 2 zeros to start with. Bring your decimal straight up and forget about it. Now, you can start by saying, does 3 go into 10? Make sure it goes above that 0. And it goes in 3 times. And that would be 9. Go ahead and subtract. You get a 1. Bring down your 0. 3 goes into 10. 3 times. That would be a 9. We've done this one before. And you probably will remember that as long as you keep bringing down your zeros, it's going to keep repeating. So this was the one where we learned that you can use that repeat sign. So I'm going to write my final answer with my whole number in the ones place, my decimal, and then I'm going to write my 3 and put my line over it like that. And I would read this as 6 3/10. And the line over the 3 lets everybody know that that number repeats. The final thing that I wanted to talk about was to review what we discussed with benchmark fractions and how you should round when it falls right in between a benchmark. For example, with 1/4. 1/4 falls right in between the 0 and the 1/2. And in that case, we said that we would round to the higher benchmark. So 1/4 would round to 1/2. And another example would be 8/12. It's exactly 4 jumps to the half to round down to the half, and 4 jumps to round to the whole. So we're going to round to the whole because we said that we would round to the higher benchmark if it falls right in between the two. So I just wanted to review that rule with you. Well, I hope you found that helpful. And please come back again and watch it if you need to. Don't forget, I have a subscription on YouTube. Go to Sandra Dilley and please subscribe. Give it a thumbs up. And I hope you all have a wonderful Thanksgiving. Remember, we'll have our test on Tuesday. Please go back, review the videos, and that'll help you hopefully on your test. Don't forget, give it some love, and we'll see you soon. Bye. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another edition. Before we get started, I wanted to go over a couple more things that we needed to go over, but, well, before I go any further, there's a few more. We've been talking a lot about what we should. There's only a few more things we need to talk about. There's really only one more thing that we need to talk about, and that's what is. There's just a couple more things that we need to talk about. My tree. Okay, do we understand that I'm like recording test on Tuesday, and I think it'll be helpful. And hope you have a wonderful Thanksgiving, and we'll see you soon. Don't forget, give that video some love.